welcome to this week's edition of HawkTalk. My name's Parker Robinson, joined by Seth Moorkirky. Kind of a quiet week on campus, all sports on the road going on right now, wrestling on the road, basketball on the road, and track. One of those student athletes joins us today. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and where you're from?
Yeah, I'm Trey Smolik. I'm from Anaconda, Montana, and I'm a junior right now at the university, just running track. So.
Yeah, and you came here not solely for track, but also coming here for cross country. You're part of that, conference championship team in the fall. What was that experience like, winning a couple in a row?
Yeah, this year definitely, I'd have to say probably my favorite year across in my life so far. Great group of guys. The team was amazing. Kind of a crazy year. We lost our coach from the last two, and we won 2 in a row. And then we come into this year with a new coach, and we're kind of a marked team at that point. I think a lot of people saw that as an opportunity to kind of come after us, and they definitely did. We had some good competition there at the conference meet. But Coach Wickhop, shout out to him, great guy, great season this year, and definitely, yeah, kind of one of the better experiences I've ever had in cross.
Yeah, what's that experience like at the national level when you're, competing with teams from all over the country, and even if you don't finish where you want to finish necessarily, you're still up against some of the best in the nation?
Yeah, it's a crazy experience to look around and kind of see a lot of the guys on the team. About half the team is real small town kids too, and you kind of look around and think like, okay, well, there's more people at this meet than there are in my hometown, sort of thing,
Yeah.
And it's great. It's great to be at that level with, like I said, with those guys especially, and to take both teams, the guys and girls, and have everybody out there. Just the energy, the experience. It's a lot. And like you said, you don't necessarily finish where you want to finish. We couldn't quite put it together for nationals, but just to get there and know that we're competing at the level that we want to compete at, that's a big plus. So
Yeah, and moving from that season to this season, what's kind of that adaptation in between staying healthy and at the same time kind of rebuilding for something new?
Yeah, well, if you want to stay healthy from season to season, don't take my advice, because that didn't happen this year. So kind of just Christmas break is huge. Making sure, A, you're staying in shape, and B, you're kind of just staying out of the you definitely get in the mode of like Christmas break, you're hanging out with your friends, you're up late all the time, it's cold, you're going to get sick. And I did that. I came back, and as soon as the season started, a couple days before the first meet at track, I was like, got the flu, and it was just kind of one of those things. But then, really you just got to keep working at it. It's kind of one of those things where you get frustrated, and you get really frustrated where, as of this week, I was 4 weeks into the season, 5 weeks into the season without a single meet, and that's kind of, that takes a toll on you. But it's all about staying as mentally healthy as it is staying physically healthy too. As long as you stay in it, you're going to come out of the season all right. So
right. And talk about the first week back. This was your first weekend back of being able to race. What was that feeling like? Since you took months off since cross country, and now you're back racing a different sport, but still same thing.
Yeah, it was great to be back. It's always good to be back and just kind of remind yourself why you're here. Just the feeling of competition. Just remember why we're out here doing what we're doing. It was super great to be in the team environment. I didn't have the race that I wanted to have, but like I said, it was just kind of one of those first race back. It's gonna be rough no matter what you do. Big shout out to the team though too. The team did great this weekend. We're kind of moving in a really good direction, especially setting us up for a good conference meet. So. It was good to be back. Just good energy, good group. So,
yeah. How much is we talked about it in cross country with the strategy of working a race. How much is that different? When you go from where we were at Jamestown, a lot of space to work, to here you are on a 200 track indoors, and it's a little different environment.
Yeah. So, like you said, cross country, you get there and you're kind of just like, okay, well, you're usually running with the full team, and a lot of us try and stick together or push each other at a certain point, and you say, okay, well, at this point in the race, if I'm feeling good, I'm going to go. At this point in the race, if I'm at mile 3, I'm going to go. Those last 2 miles are really important. Well, then you get in track, like you said, there's 200-meter track. You're kind of just going. It's kind of, and you try and stick with your teammate, or you try and, push with this guy that beat you last week, or push with this guy that was right behind you last week. And it's just such a different race mentally as far as the 200 track goes. Totally different mindset as far as where you want to be sitting in a race, but it's also one of those things that plays back into when it comes down to it, you're running. At bottom line, you're just running. So
right, yeah, that's a good way to put it. But I've seen you across campus. You've participated in cross country, track. You're kind of a guy who experiences a lot of things. But I've also seen you on stage. You're a theater major. So maybe talk about some of the plays you've been in, or just what being a theater major is.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. That was one of the main reasons that actually got me here too. Was that the school offered both, was that I could run and then be a theater major as well. I've never done theater until I got here. I just kind of jumped into it and thought, like, whatever, it's a good idea. Mm-hmm. And it's been great. I've been in a couple of the main stage shows or the backstage theater, and those were absolutely great experiences. I thought, like, oh, cross country, you're in shape, like I can just go for days, and I'm like, nothing's really going to tire me out, sort of thing. And yeah, you get done with a run of a play and you're just like, you're done the whole weekend, you're just exhausted. Mm-hmm. So I absolutely love it. It's definitely, it was the right choice for me as far as school goes. The people in the theater, we have a lot of fun, and as far as classes go, I love taking classes from Jarvis. I feel like I learn a ton from any of those classes, and he makes it really interesting and really productive. A lot of project-based stuff that kind of just gets your creative mind working. So I love it. I wouldn't change being a theater major for anything.
That's good.
You've been on an actual team, an athletic team, but how much is that department and what you guys do, to put together a production, whatever it may be? How much is that a team?
Same mindset as far as transferring directly over. We're not at practice every day going for a run, but you're at rehearsals every night just as long or longer than practice. So you get stuck in a room with those people, and you're there for, it's just like any other situation. You're stuck in that room, and there's 5 or 6 of you, and it's like, all right, we have 3 hours to, every night, 2-3 hours to get this thing rolling. And rehearsals seem like they take a while, but at the end of them, you feel like you don't have enough, And so it's the same mindset as far as like just a group of people working together to get to a common point, and that's just to put on a good show and have a good time. So,
yeah, and being sick wasn't the only reason you missed a track competition this semester. You also took a chance to go to a conference, kind of going over some of those theater things. What was that like to kind of be on the stage in front of national other people?
Yeah, the conference is just it's KCACTF. It's Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival, which is a mouthful. But basically, you go down and we're in Region 5, and there's just this big conference. Theater majors from kind of all over our region, which is just kind of the North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa area, just kind of that whole Midwest area. And we just, you go down and there's the conference for 5 days. There's workshops about, all sorts of stuff, stage combat, different things about like, finding an agent, things like that. And those are just huge learning experiences to be with a group of people that have the same kind of mindset and doing those things. But then a couple of us also went down for the competition side too, where you take down a monologue and a scene and a scene partner, and you kind of compete at that national level. And it's great. It was a huge learning experience. I have gone the last couple of years, and it's been probably two of the bigger influences in my theater career. And it's a great environment. You get down there with, I think, 1,000+ theater majors, and it's pretty productive week. So
it's cool. I know you're a traveler. I know you like to travel all over. So what has going with track, going with cross country, and then going with theater? You've got to go all over the country. What has that experience been like, and how important is that for you to be able to do that at DSU?
Yeah, it's huge. I always kind of told myself if I wasn't doing sports on the weekends, I'd probably be traveling somewhere anyway. But it's great to be able to be with the team, be with a group of people that you love being with, doing a sport that you love, or going for the theater, going down and competing for the theater, or learning something new in that whole realm of the education, and just being able to be with those people and travel all over and make memories with with those groups is just kind of it's definitely a blessing. I wouldn't change any of it. I'm really happy with the decision to come out to DSU for sure. It's been 2.5, close to 3 really, really great years. It's offered a lot of really productive things. So.
Yeah, we've talked about it with other sports, that camaraderie and that chemistry that you build on those trips. Do you feel the same amongst the things you've been involved in?
Yeah, definitely. It's been one of those things where a lot of us come from pretty far out. There's a lot of North Dakota, South Dakota kids, Eastern Montana, which is basically West Dakota, and there's a fair share though that come up from a lot of the cross guys are from California, and a lot of us cross guys are Western Montana, that sort of thing. You kind of just form a home away from home, and you get a family, and in a smaller school, smaller community setting. You get really close, and that's where you start to become a family, and that's just really what it is on campus. I think is a lot of people kind of just form a really close bond, and so yeah, it's a good environment to be in, and it just keeps building on itself really.
Yeah, as kind of time on the indoor season winds down already, it seems like it's gone like that. One more competition and then conference. How are you guys preparing to try to defend that title?
Right now, we're working really hard this week as far as we have, a couple good workouts this week, and just kind of setting ourselves up for a good taper week next week to be able to kind of come down off that and really be in the best shape we can be in, and also be the healthiest we can be. And Coach Walker has the same mindset as far as, he's going to put his best foot forward for the whole team. We're going to put our best foot forward. We're going to show up at conference and be as healthy as we can be, as mentally prepared as we can be, as physically prepared as we can be. And that's saying this week too. There's another meet this weekend where most of the team is not going as far as competing in Brookings again, but there's the relays are going down. Some throwers, some people that are kind of teetering on qualifying for nationals right now. And huge shout out to them. Good luck for those guys this weekend. We have some relays that are looking really solid. Some throwers. Jeff Fisher's bordering on a really good PR right now. And I think they'll get down there in that environment. It's a really big meet, really competitive meet. Yeah. I think those guys are going to get down there in that environment and really thrive. That's just what DSU is all about. Just getting us in an area where we can compete with some people that are at a different level, but competition-wise, we're right up there with them. So we're kind of just setting ourselves up to be really mentally prepared and just go into it with, the thought that there's no option of losing. We're going to come into it and we're going to do what DSU does best, and we're going to win us a conference title again. Yeah. So.
Yeah, like you mentioned, kind of competing, above the NAIA level this weekend in points. We beat NDSU. I mean, how is the team shows up and it feels like, we're all equal. We're just as good as anybody out here. Do you feel that on the team?
Oh yeah, and we strive. Coach Walker is probably the most competitive guy you'll ever meet, and he'll tell you that as soon as you meet him. And that was in our first meeting. He looked at us and he said, "I'm the most competitive guy you'll ever meet." And if you can just ask me and I'll tell you. And
if you don't believe me, you're wrong.
Yeah, and that's a great mindset to have around too, because he doesn't let you settle. You're not going to settle. You're going to come out of DSU track knowing you gave it everything you had, and that really sets us up for very competitive meets. He purposely takes us to those meets like that, to get us out competing at a different level. But it's more of just a different level on paper as far as that goes, because like you said, in the scoring department we do just fine, and that sets you up for a good show at conference too, because you kind of go out and you don't really know what you're capable of in the conference until you get there, and then you kind of realize you've been striving a little bit higher the whole season, and then you just get to that conference level and you're like, okay, this is what it's all about. And yeah, it sets you up really good mentally and physically for a good show. So
yeah, and we talked about it a little bit with cross country, but I don't think people realize how much of a team atmosphere is around. You're all doing your individual events, whatever it may be, but you're all pulling for each other, men, women, track, throwers, whatever it may be. You're all pulling for each other. How special is that to have someone cheering you on as you go along?
It's huge. Very seldom will you see somebody sitting at camp, just sitting down. There at any given moment, there's probably 5 to 10 people at the camp. And those are people either getting ready for a race, like headphones in, sitting down, saving their legs sort of thing, or somebody recovering from a race, just like kind of getting themselves back together after a race. But you will never see those people not participate in what's going on as well. Just because they're at camp doesn't mean, they kind of form that whole corner, and we kind of take over like a whole corner of the track. And, that's a huge cheering section. And but more often than not, you'll see all the team kind of scattered around. Somebody will be jumping, and you'll have 5 or 6 people there. Somebody will be throwing, you'll have 5 or 6 people there. And that's also just the team aspect, as far as that's what we set up in the beginning of the year meeting, and that's what we expect. That's what the coaches expect. That's what we as teammates expect now. And it's just kind of bred into you, as far as like, this is what we do as a team, and it's huge. You to be coming around a corner and you're side by side with a kid, and this kid's pushing to try and pull away from you, and then you hear 10 to 20 kids from DSU yelling at you, like that's a pretty big push mentally. That's really strong. Or you get guys jumping at the pit, and we have a big group of us there yelling just to even like show up, and sometimes it's just to get a mark. Sometimes you're having a rough day, but for a lot of us, it's just the mindset of knowing like like somebody's got my back sort of thing, and the whole team kind of does that. So
yeah, that camaraderie, it kind of seems like that's the culture of DSU, but you see that in track, you see that in football games, you guys celebrating for us. That's a great feeling, and across the basketball spectrums, men's, women's, volleyball, wrestling even, we've had those 3 events. What is that like to be in the crowd now, kind of changing the aspect of it? You're in the crowd and you're with all your friends and all the other fans. What's that feeling like?
It's great. I love being in the crowd at DSU events. It's we have a good time. We get rowdy, and I think we're a little bit well known across the conference for being that school, as far as like, if you're going to play there, you're probably not going to have too great of a time, Right. So it's great. I love when we get a lot of people out. I love when we have a student section that stands. That's always a plus, Right. Bare minimum, we're going to have the front 2 rows standing. But it's great when we get the whole student section standing, and people are cheering, and, it kind of gets crazy. And I know these last couple games, the student section was full. I don't think there was a place to really stand or sit or anything. So I love to see that. I'd love to see that continue throughout the year and everything, just with all the sports, as far as like getting people out, and really it's just about the support of the university, and you build that camaraderie, like you said, and it's kind of just it's tough to lose at home once you start building that support system, and so it's just a positive environment, and I'd love to see that continue kind of throughout the year. And
a big stretch of games coming up for the men's basketball team. They're on the road right now, but definitely getting a home conference game.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to that. It seems like there's quite a culture of winning around DSU, whether it be football, cross country, into track. It just seems like there's a good environment and a supportive environment all around you. Do you feel that as an athlete?
Yeah, extremely supportive, extremely understanding on the educational side too. The teachers are very understanding of the amount of school that we miss for sports. But yeah, just a really great environment as far as athletes support athletes. There's a huge number of athletes on this campus, and it's great. It's great to see that all around, and it's great to have that support system. And yeah, like you said, definitely kind of a tradition of winning, or a theme of that. And the sports this year have just been turning it on. It's great to see. It's great to just go out and see like all these sports just excelling in their on the court or on the track or on the mat. Made it out to a couple of the wrestling meets, and that's always a good time to see that go down. Not quite the turnout that you'd expect. It's probably 10, 11 in the morning, and it's like kind of a rough time to get out. But yeah, those are great to see. All these sports excelling, and such a huge support system.
Yeah, Give to DSU Week, that's coming up February 8th through the 18th. Giving back to the DSU Heritage Foundation, all they do with scholarships. What has, your athletic scholarship, whatever it may be, academic, what has that kind of given you an opportunity here at DSU?
It's huge. Everyone that, is an athlete here knows the struggle of balancing, okay, I have school and then I have practice, and I'm going to miss Friday, Saturday because I have a meet, but I also know I have homework, but then on top of that, you know, I probably have a part-time job. You know, I think 90% of the kids that are athletes have at least a part-time job, and that's huge to see, to know that that's just a group of people that works hard. You know, the whole team, all the teams, all the athletes, everybody on this campus, just, you know, very hard-working campus in general. And so, yeah, I think that the scholarship for me anyway has been huge. Just it's kind of a comfort knowing that the campus is, you know, they're looking out for their athletes, and the Heritage Foundation is huge in that, looking out for student athletes and in their, you know, in their sports and their athletics and their academics. And the scholarship has been huge for me. It's kind of given me a level of comfort knowing, like, okay, with the part-time job that I work, I can still pay for school, but I also have time to, like, recover after practice. I don't have to, like, take these crazy shifts that would prevent me from having, you know, the best season that I can have. Right. So it's a good balance, you know, and the Heritage Foundation does a good job of getting that money out there and supporting the campus too. So
yeah, and then, you know, back to the athletic side, home stretch here. You know, conference championships has been the standard for track indoor and outdoor. You know, is that where you guys are looking at right now?
Yeah, nothing has changed. Absolutely, we're looking to go in and just you know, get that trophy, get that championship, and looking to sweep this year. The girls are extremely competitive this year, and absolutely a stellar group of guys. We have, like I was saying earlier, we have a relay that is going to be dangerous in outdoor. By the time we get everything kind of worked out, they're going to be dangerous at conference. But man, those guys in outdoor, it's going to be great to watch. So. As far as indoor conference goes, yeah, no change in expectation. You know, it's kind of just that tradition of we're going to show up and we're going to do what we do best, and you know, for DSU, that's win a conference championship. So, yeah, nothing's changed on that end.
Yeah. Before we let you go, we haven't asked any track members this question before, so you get the first shot at it. Best dressed and worst dressed on the team.
Best dressed and worst dressed. Oh, okay. Well. Of the one track meet I've been to this year, best dressed, I'd have to say, oh geez, you know, Rodney Henry. Rodney Henry is. We actually talked about this for a while at the track meet. For him, it's just a mentality. You know, that boy dresses up, I think, no matter where he goes. But to him, it's not dressing up. We actually asked him about it. You know. But yeah, I think Rodney's definitely he's a good dresser. He shows up for the team. Worst dressed, I might have to take that category. I think you know, I get some weird looks showing up at the meet with my sandals on and it's 20 below, and you know, I don't know. Everything I got is just kind of mismatched. I just show up to run. I don't really care what's going on in the how you dress department, but. I think also track's kind of there's not really a dress code. It's kind of a lazy dress code. So you look around and there's some weird stuff going on. I think we got a pretty standard, relaxed level of dress code going across the team. So I don't know if I have anyone in the worst dress category, but you know, if someone needs to take it, I'll take it for right now.
Well, I think we can all agree Hunter Johnson takes best hair. But yeah, if you see Trey around town, look out for the slippers, scandals, you know, toes out, everything in this native 20-degree weather. So make sure not to be too concerned about it. DSU basketball is on the road this weekend. Viterbo, Waldorf, big conference games coming down the stretch. They got presentation on the road next week, and then on to the conference championship. Make sure you check out dsubluehawks.com for the latest on that, where they end up, and who they'll be hosting. And until next week, Hawks are up.